The Trinity Trojans and MacArthur Cardinals will face each other tonight for the second time this season and for the second time in the playoffs in the past 3 years. The Cards upset the Trojans in the second week of the season in a come-from-behind 22-20 victory. The Trojans won the District 7-5A title last week with a 21-6 win over LD Bell at Texas Stadium. Quarterback Ray Hasty had a big game as he hit on 5 of 6 for 2 touchdowns. His first one coming on this 24-yard pass to Brad Riddell. Hasty teamed up with running back Billy Odell on this 13-yarder for Trinity's second touchdown. Odell scored the final touchdown on this 30-yard run in the fourth quarter. On the day, he rushed 19 times for 90 yards. The Trojan defense continued its outstanding play in the victory over Bell. They are allowing opposing teams just 180 yards in offense per game. And the defense came up with a big play against Bell. Judd Adcock picked off this Bell pass to help set up the first touchdown. That was just one of 3 turnovers that the Trojan defense came up with. They applied a lot of pressure to quarterback Mark Maddox and held the Blue Raider rushing game to just 43 yards on the ground. Look for another hard-nosed, all-out effort from the Trojans on both sides of the ball tonight. The road to the playoffs was not an easy one for the Cards this year. Last week's tie of Duncanville left the district race up in the air, and it took a Saturday meeting of coaches and athletic directors to determine that Mac would advance. The Cards used the big play, like this 84-yard touchdown pass from Sean Hall to David Von Zermeulen, to jump out to a 21-7 halftime lead against the Panthers. But it was the play of the defense, which was outstanding in the fourth quarter, that salvaged the tie for the Cardinals. Quarterback Sean Hall had a big game as he completed 6 of 9 for 135 yards and 1 touchdown. Bill Clark was held to just 23 yards, but did score this touchdown from 5 yards out to give the Cards a 14-7 lead. The MAC defense continues as one of the top units in the Metroplex. They've allowed less than 1,000 yards rushing through 10 games. Jason Lowe had a big game against the Panthers. He recovered 1 fumble and almost picks off his David Need pass. Look for old-fashioned straight-ahead football when these 2 teams collide tonight. Scott Snyder for the Irving Game of the Week.
And welcome back to Texas Stadium. I'm Alan Mallory along with Bob Berry and Mark Packer, bringing you all the action of tonight's ball game, and it should be a good one. Earlier this year, the second game of the season, these 2 teams met, and it was MacArthur coming out on top at Pennington Field by a score of 22-20. I did say earlier that the Trinity Trojans won District 7-5A, and they did in effect by getting the top seed in the playoffs, but in actuality, they tied with LD Bell, and that means that they will share the championship in that district. But this should be a very good ball game. Of course, the Trinity Trojans running out of the wishbone, and here to tell us more now about that ball club is Mark Packer. They do have an excellent defense, though, too, don't they?
Yeah, they've allowed 5 points a game, 46 points on the year as a total. They let up 22 points against MacArthur, so you can see MacArthur scored almost half of the points against Trinity's defense the whole year.
And the big weapon offensively for the Trojans?
Billy Odell and Brad Riddell.
Brad Riddell. A lot of talk about Brad Riddell being the son of the coach and being only a sophomore, but why talk about it when the kid can punt and he can kick and kick extra points, he can catch a pass, 29 catches this year, he can do it all.
He's got great hands. I talked to Coach Riddell about it, his son being a starter, and he said that he didn't think there would be much controversy if his son were a senior, but the fact that he is a sophomore, there has been a lot of attention surrounding that. And he said that's the only reason that he is getting the attention for his son starting on the team.
What does Trinity have to do tonight in order to win this ball game?
The line has to control the MacArthur defensive line. Billy Odell last week ran for about 126 yards on 16 carries. And they pass at the very opportune time. Last week, Trinity had a 3rd down and 30 against Bell and ran a draw play to B.J. Weaver for a gain of about 35 yards. So the line controlled Bell last week, and we'll just have to see tonight if they can do the same thing to MacArthur.
Well, we're getting the flip down on the field. MacArthur had the choice. They decided to decline, and we will have the kickoff in a couple of moments. But first, let's go to Bob Berry and talk a little bit about Ray Overton's Cardinals and what they did this year. They scratched and they clawed their way all the way here, didn't they?
They really did. It's a typical Ray Overton team. When Ray came to Irving MacArthur 3 years ago, he came into a program the previous year. The Cardinals had ended up with a record of 2-8. He turned that around so that the next season they were 6-4, and he just seems to have that magical touch. He's never been blessed with a tremendous amount of talent, but he's the kind of man, he and his assistant coaches, who seem to take kids who have the ability to play well, but they're not exceptionally talented football players, and meld them into an excellent team. So when you see a Ray Overton team, typically you're not looking for the running back who's run for 1,500 yards or the quarterback who's thrown for 20 touchdowns during the course of the season. Perhaps someday he'll have a group of youngsters who perhaps can do those things, but basically he likes to share the wealth both offensively and defensively. And one of Ray's philosophies has always been that football is a team game, something that he always stresses. So I think one of the things that we'll see tonight will in all probability be 4 youngsters will be carrying the ball for Irving MacArthur. Obviously not all at the same time, but you're going to see 4, maybe 5 kids who will carry the ball from the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you what, you can bet right now that there'll be one of those guys carrying that football like a loaf of bread. A favorite of yours and a favorite of mine, a kid with a lot of talent. Brian Love, 6'3", 180 pounds, playing his first year of organized high school football, and boy, has he impressed everybody that's seen him play.
Yeah, he is just an exceptionally gifted athlete. He was an outstanding basketball player last season. He plays cornerback for the MacArthur Cardinals, and Brian Love is one force defensively that the Trinity Trojans are going to have to work against. Now, some of the clubs that have played Irving MacArthur earlier this year, after they realized what a talent Brian Love was, they deliberately stayed away from his side of the field. It will be interesting tonight to see if the Trojans do that, or if the Trojans will really come out and challenge Brian Love to see what he can do. But he's a very gifted athlete, and for those of you who have followed the exploits of the Cardinals all season, I don't think that we have to tell you much about Brian. For those of you watching tonight's game, we'll just tell you that he's number 3, and you will be aware of him because he's going to be in on a lot of plays. He's an exceptionally gifted ball player. Basically, the Cardinals, as Alan told you, they won the toss, but they declined to do anything with the football. This is just becoming more present in all the games that we do. It seems whichever team wins the coin toss, they say, we don't want to do anything. That obviously forces the other team to make a decision. So basically what you can look for now is that the Cardinals will be kicking off, and they will be receiving in the second half. Chris Henderson normally does the booting for Irving MacArthur. Usually he is the young man who kicks off for the MacArthur Cardinals. But we notice that Steve Page is down there in a blocking position. It will be Henderson kicking off. Left-footed booter. It's a high end over end kick. Whoa, free ball. Picked up on the 5-yard line by Odell. Tripped up, and down he goes on about the 14. That was poorly played, because you would think that the ball carrier would run up, catch the ball on the fly, and then just advanced it. But he just waited for the ball to bounce, took it on the big hop, and then started coming up the field.
But not far, Darren Barton there to put the big hit on him. This is the Trinity offense. Steve Links, and then Crail Anderson, Laxon, Barnes, Apple, and of course the coach's son, Brad Riddell, who's having an excellent year.
Hasty is the quarterback. They work from the wishbone, and they give to the short back, who's in for about 2 yards, and that is about all. Remember, we're going to see the wishbone offense. It was B.J. Weaver into the center of the line, picking up about 2 yards. So it's going to be wishbone for one team, and as far as Irving MacArthur is concerned, you're going to see a lot offensively, but I doubt seriously you're going to see the wishbone at all. 2nd and 8 for the Trojans. Again with that full house backfield, and we will see that formation the whole time. Here's the quarterback, Hasty, on the keeper, up over the 20-yard line, knocked off his pins as he comes on to the 21.
Jason Lowe there breaking up the momentum of that sweep around the right side and in on the stop for the Cardinals, which will bring up the 3rd down situation. 3 yards now to go for Trinity.
That's something that we haven't mentioned, but you know that the kids have to have butterflies, not only because of the importance of the game, but because of the site. We're here at Texas Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. 3rd 3rd and 3 for the Trojans. Hasty back to pass, has got time. Now under pressure, overthrows his intended receiver down on the 40-yard line. Hasty had time, but then he ran out of time as the rush came on. And he overthrew Billy Odell.
John Harrison and Jeff Mitchell putting all the pressure on Hasty that time. And so Trinity comes up short, and MacArthur with a big edge emotionally right now, stopping Trinity in its initial possession of the ball game. Brian Love back to receive, one of the guys.
Brad Riddell to do the kicking. A very gifted athlete for these Trojans. It's a high sailor. Here is Brian Love with the ball. He slips and falls, and Donnie goes on his own 36-yard line. Wanted to make the cut, but lost his footing, and down he went.
Looked like Brian there for a second was sticking his hand up into the air for a fair catch, and then kind of quietly just took it down and said, well, let's give this thing a shot. But he lost his footing, and down he went at the 36-yard line, and that's where the Cardinals take over 1st and 10.
The game being played obviously on artificial turf, but it rained all day, and there are parts of the field that are a little bit slippery. 1st and 10 for Mac on their own 36-yard line. Sean Hall, quick pass out to Bill Clark, gets 1 yard to the 35-yard line, so he actually lost about 1 yard on the play.
Stephen Woodward coming up there and just blowing right through the offensive tackle's block and bringing down the play for a loss of 1, so it's 2nd down and 11 now for the Cardinals.
And that's something of a surprise. We haven't seen Mac go to the offense with a passing attack, but that's exactly what they did. Here is Hall on the keeper. The young man can run, but he's not going to get any place this time. He's overwhelmed, and down he goes. Peter Gindrius in on the hit. A loss of about 1.
Lance Willis right there, too, number 31, choking it off for the Trojans, and the Trojans having themselves a very good initial defensive series here.
Remember, the Trojan defense has given up just 46 points during the entire season, 22 of them coming to Irving MacArthur when they met in a non-district game. 3rd and 12 for the Cardinals. Von Zermeulen in motion. Hall with the ball. The handoff to Clark. Hit and dropped. As he comes up to the line of scrimmage, gets maybe 1 yard, and then that is it.
Ron Spencer there leads the 7-5A in tackles and got another one right there, dropping Billy Clark. And that kid has himself a college future, and quite a bright one at that.
Tim Raines to do the punting. So these teams are going to be exchanging punts. The return man is Darren Schultz, all by himself, standing on his own 30-yard line. Rushes on, Raines gets the kick away, and Endo Berender, that is going to go down close to the 30, inside the 30. Let's see where they spot it is. It moves out of bounds on the 28-yard line, where Trinity will put it in play. So both teams a little tentative. We do have a flag, by the way, back in MacArthur's end of the field, all the way back around the 27-yard line. We're going to have to see what the call's going to be.
And they're going to bring it back.
It was roughing the kicker. Good job by the MacArthur punter. Good job of acting there. Wasn't hit very hard. Butt fell down to the ground and did get the penalty, but they're taking the penalty away now.
No, on the contrary, he's got the 1st and 10.
Oh, what a break for the Cardinals.
It's the initial 1st down for the Cardinals in the game, and they get it by way of penalty. But like anything else, you're always going to take your 1st downs, regardless of how they may come.
And the Cardinals now have the ball in Trinity territory, and because of that penalty, they keep the ball.
Big break for the Cardinals as they move it 1st and 10 just inside the 50 in Trinity's end of the field. England and Clark, the running backs. They go to Clark, and he's down to the 45-yard line, gets a short 5 on the play.
And Wayne England with an excellent block, just opening up a hole you could drive a truck through. And, well, Clark just took it through there, and nobody touched him until he picked up a nice bit of yardage, 5 yards for Clark on that play. And you can thank Wayne England for those 5 yards.
England is a very gifted ball player, and also one that you don't hear that much about. But he plays his game 100%. Good, tough fullback, does a lot of blocking, and on occasion he'll get that chance to run with the ball, and he can do that well. Here's Clark running into a lot of trouble and just getting back to the line of scrimmage.
And Stephen Woodward again in on the tackle, sticking out a piece of meat, his right arm, I believe it was, and down he went.
Woodard is right. I'm sorry, Alan. Woodard, the defensive left end.
Also in on the tackle was number 81, Ron Spence. Ron's a 6'4", 200-pound senior, good basketball player, and probably will be starting for Trinity on varsity basketball this year.
And he's the middle linebacker for the Trojans. Third, and we'll call it 6 for the Cardinals of Irving MacArthur. This is Hall, gets a good block. He's got running room, should get the first down. He's down to just outside the 40-yard line. Let's see where they spot it. So he's going to be shy by a little bit.
And you can thank Steve Mickelson and Vance Birchfield if you're Trinity rooters here tonight, because they came up with a big hit on Hall and got him out of bounds.
We'll show it to you
rolling
again.
out to his right here. And then up comes Birchfield and Vance, and out of bounds goes Hall. So it'll be third down now and 5 yards to go.
On the contrary, it's 4th and inches. 4th and inches, the ball just on the 40-yard line, and a big call now for MacArthur. Do they go for the first down? That's what they're going to do. No kicking in this situation. Let's see what the Trojans can do now. They go to their bread and butter man. Clark dives in for the first down. Boy, we've seen that a lot of times, haven't we?
And again, England was the one leading the way for Clark. We'll take another look at it, and take a look at number 22 right here. He's a lead blocker. Boom, takes out number 26, Billy Odell, and Clark picked up those few inches that he needed for the first down. And so the Cardinals are now driving and have it inside the 40-yard line of the Trojans.
1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. This is Hall, this time on the keep. Cuts back after faking the handoff. Gets about 3 yards as he's down to the 35-yard line.
Vance Birchfield, along with half the student body from Trinity, in on that play.
During the course of the season, Clark picked up 813 yards, averaged just over 4 yards a carry, scored 10 touchdowns. Hall gained 115 yards. Here's Hall, look for the pitch out. They get it. This time the defender was able to get around Wayne England and knock Clark down.
John McLemore in on the tackle there. And the Cardinals keeping it on the ground, Mark, basically because I guess, as everybody else in the Metroplex knows, Trinity has a very tough defense against the pass. So why not keep it on the ground, especially when you got guys like Clark and England running for you, right?
Last week, Ron Spence was very successful against Bell. He batted down about 6 passes at the line. Good target, about 6'4". It's hard to get the ball over him, so they will stay on the ground.
Von Mullen and Shoemake in there, as is Canchola, the tight end. What looks to be a passing situation. This is Hall faking the handoff, scooting to his left. Boy, he is really being harried and knocked out of bounds on about the 34-yard line. They showed a passing formation, but they had Hall carrying it on what many years ago they used to call the naked reverse. No blocking whatsoever. They were just trying to fake out the Trojans, and they didn't do it at all.
Nick Valitas and Lance Willis just too quick cutting off the outside lane for Hall, and Hall didn't have the foot speed to beat him around.
Very good defense.
There's Willis, and that brings up a 4th down now for the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals show offensively that they're going to go for the first down, but the officials say, wait just a moment, hold everything. One of the things they're going to do is change footballs. Remember that while this is an enclosed stadium, we do have that hole in the roof, and it rained fairly heavily today, and parts of that field are wet. The Cardinals going to call for a timeout right now. On this date, by the way, this is a record rainfall for this date in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
And Alan, as you were saying, MacArthur will stay on the ground, partly because this season Trinity allowed 66 yards passing per game.
And that's something else.
When you allow that little, it's not hard to tell that you need to stay on the ground and stay away from those tough defensive backs of Trinity.
Well, when you come into a ball game, too, you try to do what you do best, and you don't try to look at the other team and try to stay away from what you do best, because that is their forte. You come into a ball game and you do what you've been doing all year long, and what the Cardinals have been doing all year long with Clark and with England and with Hall has been running the ball very successfully. Looks like they will go back into the punt formation, Bob, and they should get Trinity in a little hole here.
to receive for Trinity is number 12, Darren Schultz. Darren is a sophomore for Trinity, one of 3 sophomores on the Trinity squad.
High short kick by Raines. Down come the Cardinals, covering it and catching it down at around the 9-yard line. Very nice indeed. The Cardinals down it at the 9. You don't see that too often. When the kicking team actually catches the punt.
Looked like Darren Barton there, which gives Trinity a first down and 10 from their own 10-yard line, and MacArthur puts Trinity in the hole that it wanted to.
Both teams being very, very cautious. No one wants to make a mistake. And certainly right now, the Trojans definitely do not want to because they're down deep in their own territory. First and 10 for the Trinity Trojans from the wishbone. This time they go to the left halfback, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage and maybe one more, and that is it. Danielle Farrell, the left half, getting about 1 yard, and that's all. They faked to the right half and then gave to the left half on the counter play.
Well, it was a misdirection play, but you have to remember now, Bob, Trinity, it had a lot of problems with its offensive line early. That offensive line is now healthy again.
The handoff this time into the tight man, the fullback, B.J. Weaver. Weaver out close to the 14-yard line.
Tigers tackle Jeff Mitchell on that play, Bob. And Mitchell has been playing very well the last part of the season. And that defensive front line for the Cardinals, as I said, they have their hands full tonight because that Trinity offensive line is a good one, and they are healthy now.
A short 6 yards required for the Trojans on this particular play. They use the draw, and they get the first down, and breaking out for big yardage all the way out to the 35-yard line is B.J. Weaver.
And Jeff Greer may have saved a touchdown there. Coming up and making the tackle, we will take one more look at it. Just a simple draw play. Breaks tackles. But Weaver gets dumped by Jeff Greer, and Greer could have gone all the way, but we do have a penalty flag down, and it looks as though it may have been holding.
Penalty will be assessed against the Trojans. Boy, this is tough.
That's a big one. That one hurts.
Trinity was very successful last week on the draw. As I said in the pregame talk, on that 3rd and 30 last week, they ran that same play and caught Bell napping out covering Riddell. And Weaver did pick up about 35, gain of about 25 there, but on the penalty will bring the ball back to their own 9-yard line.
Motion, the call against Trinity. Boy, what a heartbreaker that is. So they're back in a 3rd and 10 situation. Their quarterback, Hasty, looks to pass under pressure, got a man open, hits him on the 15, out across the 20, they got the first down.
And Brian Love hit on the tackle there.
On the reception for Trinity, number 86, Brad Riddell. As we said, Brad did have 29 catches on the year, led the district 7-5A interceptions. Good move there, faking to the inside and going down the sideline for the yardage for the first down.
A very gutty call, too, passing from their own 10-yard line, but it worked out very well. 13 yards and a first down for the Trojans. Excellent tackle that time by the Cardinal defender.
Eric Allman just in the backfield having lunch and waiting, and makes the tackle there on about the 20-yard line.
Danielle Farrell, the ball carrier. And you're right, Allman played it beautifully. Eric Allman is the free safety, and he showed you why right then. Loss of about 2 on the play. Hasty, with all the time in the world, goes for the bomb, overthrown. 3 defenders down on Riddell, and the ball was overthrown. Boy, I'll tell you, the Trojans really have thrown caution to the wind. They don't mind putting that ball up.
Well, Riddell had a step or two on those 3 defenders, but Riddell just couldn't get under it because of the fact that the ball was simply overthrown. Hasty having all day to complete that pass, but just let it go, and it floated right over Riddell's head.
Riddell has good hands, but he's not the quickest player in the world. That is the only problem with Brad Riddell. He has the best hands in the district, but the problem with him is he does not have the blazing speed that some receivers have.
Riddell split out wide to the left. Farrell in motion, and there's going to be a delay of game penalty called against Trinity. Looks like they were doing a little bit of improvising after they came out on the line of scrimmage. Riddell was out of position. He moved over to where he was to be. Then they set the man in motion, but before the play could ever develop, the clock had run down. And another penalty against Trinity. Now they've been penalized. This is their third time. And it has hurt them. It has put them in bad position, denied them a first down. Whoa, another little potential mistake there. The handoff this time to B.J. Weaver got away from the grasp of one Cardinal player, but lost his equilibrium, and down he went as he came out to about the 23-yard line.
Yeah, they had their signals mixed up a little bit on that play as both the backs almost ran into each other face to face.
So far tonight, Trinity has run all their running plays to the right. The left side of the Trinity line are all juniors, and the two on the right are seniors. They're running right behind that senior line.
Riddell to do the punting. Love, the deep man. Here's Brian Love with the ball. Makes a good move as he gets away from one tackler and then runs the ball across the 50 back to the 49. Good return by Brian Love.
Now it's MacArthur's chance to show what they can do, and whatever they do will depend somewhat on this guy right here, Brian Love. A lot of talent. We've seen him pop a couple this year. This time just didn't have any blockers down the far sideline and got knocked out of bounds. So it's the Cardinals' ball. But again, the Cardinals have the football in Trojan territory.
First and 10 for the Cardinals. Richardson in motion to the near sideline. The ball this time to Wayne England on the dive play, and Wayne takes it down to the 46-yard line. Give him a pickup of 3.
Peter Gingras in on that play on the stop. And it's still about 7 yards for Cardinal first down.
Craig Statler in the game now in a wide receiver position. Canchola is the tight end. Statler in motion. They go to Bill Clark. Had running room for a moment as he pulls his way down to the 40-yard line. He should be short of the first down by about half a yard.
When you get a chance to now take a look at the Trinity players with their helmets off on the sidelines. As the players start doing good this year as a team, the hair started coming off, and most of the players have mohawk haircuts.
I just thought they were extraordinarily old. Premature balding.
It's a fad on
either
their
that or
head.
they were punk rockers. There you go. I like the haircuts, guys.
Here's Wayne England into the center of the line. Just did get across the 40, close to the 39, but does he get enough for the first down? We very well may have a measurement on this play.
Stephen Woodward coming up to make the stop on that play, but whether he did it in time or not is another question. Woodward and Brad Riddell and number 81 Ron Spence doing a lot for that Trojan defense.
England did not get the first down. They have missed it. So the Cardinals bring on their kicking team. Boy, they had a golden opportunity there, but they couldn't do it. You've got to give a lot of credit to this Trojan defense. 1:11 remaining in the scoreless first quarter. Raines back to do the kicking. The last time we saw this, he kicked it high and short. We'll try the same again. Here's a high, towering punt that hits on the 15 and goes out of bounds on the 14. Another nice kick by Tim Raines.
Michael Hicks and Richie Merritt putting on a lot of pressure on Raines. Raines was able to get that punt off, but just barely.
Raines is just an exceptionally gifted kicker. He has been under pressure throughout the entire season. Every game we've seen him in, he's had players, defenders all around him trying to block the punt, and yet he always maintains his calm and gets away good kicks. It's first and 10 for the Trojans on their own 14-yard line. Hasty, the quarterback, gives to the short man up across the 15, out to about the 17-yard line for a gain of 3 on the play. That's B.J. Weaver who gets the call from the fullback position.
The right end, Jeff Mitchell, in on the stop on that play, and Mitchell, the 5'10", 180-pound senior, playing some good football.
This very well may be the final play of the first quarter. It's 2nd and 7 from the 17-yard line. Farrell goes in motion. Again, the ball to Weaver. Weaver out just across the 20-yard line before he's pushed back.
Jason Lowe hit him there at about the 21-yard line, but a flag is now down on the play, and we got about 19 seconds left in this first quarter, but let's wait and see what the officials have to say. Face mask against MacArthur, and that's not the kind of thing that you want to do when you have the Trojans deep in their own territory.
Usually when Trinity sends a man in motion to one side, they run to the other side. Watch for that tonight.
A first down for the Trojans by way of penalty. Now both teams are tied with first downs at 2 apiece. It will be 1st and 10 on the 26-yard line for the Trojans. Weaver, Odell, and Farrell, the running backs. Hasty is the quarterback. Good move that time by young Mr. Odell as he moved across the 30 out to about the 33-yard line. A gain of 7.
There for the first time tonight is Billy Odell. Billy did lead the Trojans this year with over 700 yards rushing.
2 TDs last week against Bell ain't hay either, over 100 yards.
1 receiving and 1 rushing. He is an all-purpose back, second in the team in receiving and leading the team in rushing.
I can remember back in, I believe it was 1982, when these same Trinity Trojans were here at Texas Stadium against a very powerful Odessa Permian football team. Odessa Permian coming into this game, the Panthers heavily favored, but the Trojans, well, just scratching all they could, and Billy Odell was part of that ball club. Trojans ended up winning that contest 8-7 and moved on. We will be back with more of this by-district playoff game between MacArthur and Trinity when we continue right after this.
Got 2nd and 3, and whistled sound as the ball was snapped. It makes you believe that what we're going to have here is a penalty against the Trojans, but let's wait and see.
Been a lot of flags down in this ball game, and we've only played 12 minutes so far.
Right, a motion call against the Trojans. Boy, they called that one quickly. The ball that was just snapped and they were blowing the whistle. A 5-yard step off against Trinity. They have been their own worst enemy so far in this game. It is their 4th penalty.
I can't remember the Trojans being inside MacArthur territory so far in that first quarter.
Not when they had the ball. No, not yet. No.
Yeah, they might have been when they didn't have the ball.
Right.
But, okay.
2nd and 8. Farrell in motion to the far sideline. Hasty fakes to Weaver, looks downfield.
Oh,
He's
Riddell's
going
wide
for
open.
Farrell down, and it's broken up by Brian Love, who almost intercepted him. I'll tell you one thing, they better keep the ball away from Brian Love because he's an excellent cover man. They had Farrell going deep down the far sideline, and they had Riddell going down the hash mark.
And Riddell's wide open. It's just that Hasty can't get the ball to him. He has to hold up. Brian Love, with that great athletic ability, comes over and almost comes up with the interception, and that would have been a very big play for MacArthur.
Hasty has thrown 7 interceptions on the season. He's a good accurate passer, but doesn't have the arm to throw the bomb very often.
We've got 3rd and 8 for the Trojans. Hasty back. Let's see, he's looking for Odell. The ball down and overthrown, and a nice pattern run by Odell. But the ball thrown just a little bit too tall. They had isolated Odell that time on a lone defender. We'll show it to you right now. You're going to see John Henderson, the defender. There's John. Odell had outrun him, but the pass was too far.
Well, Henderson was right there. Odell had a step or two, but he was covered very well.
Henderson, the strong safety. Riddell now back to do the punting. Good high snap. No rush by the Cardinals. Here is a kick taken on the 40. They hand off to Brian Love. Here comes Love, and he'll go for big yardage. Brian gets the block he needs. Touchdown, Irving MacArthur.
Mark Harris with a dipsy doodle, And the MacArthur fans here at Texas Stadium are going crazy right now. This is the kind of football that they've seen this team play all year. They fight, they scratch, they claw. Brian Love is a big play guy. And when Mark Harris took in that ball, he started around the far side of the field, but around this side came Brian Love, and he went for about 55 yards and 6 points.
And we'll see if we've got this on instant replay, because if you do, here's the epitome of team play. Brian Love gets 2 excellent blocks that spring him. Right now we're waiting for the try for point. The ball spotted, and the kick is blocked and blocked beautifully. Number 44 comes tearing in there.
Richie Merritt just came right through like nobody had even touched him. So it's 6-0, not 7, but what a big play by Harris and Love on that punt return.
You can see there on that play the great athletic ability by Brian Love. Brian is highly recruited for his skills in basketball, but is a good defensive back for MacArthur, and you can see the great speed that he has on that play.
We're going to show you this punt return.
You'll see Trinity set it up, or rather MacArthur set it up for a sweep to the right, but then here comes Love around the left side. All he needed was 1 block, and it came right there from number 59, Steve Page, and away went Love. 6 points, and MacArthur is up by a score of 6-0 here early in the second quarter.
And there we show you the block attempt for point. And now we're going to come back live. 6-0 our score. A fine run by Brian Love. There's Brian right there getting a little bit of a rest. Just an outstanding athlete. I had talked to head coach Ray Overton about 2 weeks ago, asking Ray at the time, have you heard from any colleges perhaps expressing interest in Brian Love? And he said, yeah, they're starting to come around now.
I'll bet there's a bunch of them coming around asking for his autograph.
Well, MacArthur has already broken the average game points against the Trinity defense of 5 by 1 point with 11:34 left in the second quarter.
Now we're waiting for Chris Henderson and the boot. It is a high, deep, end-over-end kick. Taken on the 4-yard line. Here is Schultz back to the 20, wrestled out of bounds on the 21-yard line. That is Darren Schultz taking the kick on the 4, returning it 17 yards, just shy of the 22 is where they spot it.
Marty Molina, the defensive back, 5'10", 150-pound junior, coming up to make the stop there at the 21-yard line.
I expect Trinity to give the ball to Odell more. They haven't had much success on the ground, and the big gun for Trinity is Billy Odell. I think they will go with Odell on this drive.
And he's only carried once thus far, a pickup of 7 yards. Here is Hasty on what might have been a broken play. Gets maybe a half yard, and that's it. He put the ball in the stomach of B.J. Weaver, who did not accept it, and then Hasty turned upfield. Got to about the 22, maybe the 22 and a half. And
I think everybody but Ray Overton was in on that play. They had 5 or 6 Cardinals waiting for him at the line of scrimmage.
Let's give him a gain of 1. We'll call it 2nd and 9.
Once again, Trinity is running to the right side of that line.
This time a quick hitter, and Weaver out for yardage, grabbed and dragged down, and a penalty flag goes down. In on the stop was John Henderson, and we'll see what the call is. It's going to be a first down, obviously, because Weaver was off to the races.
Well, Trinity has been running behind Chuck Apple and Steve Barnes, but that time they went behind Laxon and Todd Anderson and popped that one for a huge gain. The penalty being marched off against MacArthur, and now Trinity will have the ball first down and 10 at about the 43-yard line. So they get the break on a personal foul face mask against MacArthur. But what a run there by Trinity. Big play for the Trojans, and they needed it too.
Yes, they certainly did. Weaver was off to the races. It's 1st and 10 for the Trojans on the MacArthur 43-yard line. They go to the short man. That's Weaver down to the 38, but a flag goes. The field judge throwing it. He was in the defensive backfield when he threw it. So let's see if the call will be offensive holding. We'll have to just wait and see.
There's a Trinity
holding
player
against, yeah, offensive holding. And we've got a Trinity player injured.
Looks like maybe John Finch, number 24. We can't get a good look at the number.
That's number 64 for Trinity.
That would be Chuck Apple, the right tackle.
And what a job he's been doing tonight.
Now the field judge threw the flag, and a lot of times when you'll see the field judge do that standing in the defensive backfield, he's got a perfect angle on the offensive line, and obviously he saw someone holding on. A 15-yard assessment against Trinity moves the ball back to Trinity's 48-yard line, and they are still attending to young Mr. Chuck Apple.
The Trojans have had their problems with the offensive line and injuries this year. Last week, the first week that they had a full complement of their offensive line, all healthy all at one time. And as Mark has told you repeatedly early on in this first half, the Trojans like to run around that right side. Apple is the right tackle, and if he is out of the ball game, that will definitely hurt the Trojans.
Replacing Apple on the line is number 75, Joseph Schall. That makes 4 out of the 5 linemen right now in the game for Trinity juniors, so they are a young line.
Schall is a junior. Chuck Apple still being administered to. Boy, you always see they're going to raise him up now. Notice that haircut he's got? And he's trying to push himself up. So I think he'll walk off here.
Coming in for Trinity at an end is number 85, J.W. Roberts. He's a senior.
The good thing about the way Apple is walking off here, obviously he's injured somewhat, but if it was really a serious injury, he wouldn't be using the right leg at all if he had had a knee injury.
Looks like a knee injury to me.
Might have sprained it a little bit, but, you know, it's not going to be anything. I can't believe that it'd be serious because he wouldn't be able to use that leg at all. I am speaking from personal experience. I've got the scars to prove it. Really. Okay, ball on the 48. First and 25 for Trinity. 10:37 remaining here in the first half. The Cardinals of Irving MacArthur lead it 6-0 on a punt return by Brian Love, our only score thus far. But the Trojans want to change that, and they'd like to do it quick right now. Hasty, the quarterback, working from the wishbone formation. Gives to Weaver. He's got some running room, and Donnie goes as he crosses the 50 down to the 47-yard line in MacArthur's end of the field.
And Eric Allman sitting there in wait for him at about the 47-yard line and put a good hit on him and dropped him right there.
B.J. Weaver, we're going to show this play to you again. He's carried 6 times now, a pickup of 37 yards. Allman again, the free safety, and plays the position well. This time they go to Odell, and not much there as the Cardinals were laying for him.
Again, Eric Allman right there, and Odell had no opportunity to go in either direction. He had to go straight ahead, and Allman was right in his face.
Odell gets it down to the 43-yard line, so that's going to bring up a 3rd and 10.
J.W. Roberts in now for Trinity. 6'2", 210 pounds as the Trojans try to get more meat on that front line of theirs.
Big play, and don't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all to see the Trojans put the ball up. They send Farrow in motion to the near sideline. Hasty on the draw to Weaver. Good call that time, but the Cardinals reacted well. They were double teaming Weaver, and Donnie goes.
John Harrison.
Once again in a passing situation, Trinity does run the draw up the middle. This time they're not successful, and it will be 3rd down and 6 for Trinity.
And Trinity back to do the punting, and remember what happened the last time. Riddell got away a good kick, but Brian Love, taking a handoff from Mike Harris, was off to the races and scored. You know what they really like to do is kick the ball away from Love. Big rush this time. Riddell gets the kick up. Ball is going to go into the end zone, and we'll have a 1st and 10. Some booing from the crowd because Riddell that time doing the watch me hit the ground, and he did. But the official was right on the play, said he fell of his own accord and was not hit by any of the onrushing Cardinal players. So it's 1st and 10 for Irving MacArthur in the 20. Alan?
It was a good time to put on the Sir Lawrence Olivier bit because there was about 6 Cardinals headed right into his face. But he did get the punt away. There was a slight touch, but the official, I think, correctly said no, there wasn't enough for a penalty.
Toby Richardson in motion. They give the ball this time to Wayne England, who's lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Reggie Finch and and Wayne England were the setbacks. Hall, the quarterback. The Cardinals really have not been able to do much offensively tonight at all. Looking at their running backs, Bill Clark is the leading ground gainer. He's carried the ball 6 times for a total of 12 yards.
22-20. MacArthur beat Trinity in the second ball game of the season, but this one looks like an even lower scoring affair.
2nd and 10. This time the ball, the Reggie Finch breaks 1 tackle, spins, gets out for 4 yards out to the 24-yard line.
Both these defenses are playing excellently tonight. In there, Ron Spence, the kid that a lot of colleges would like to have play for their teams.
Once again, as in the previous play, about 7 players for Trinity. Trinity is a good swarming defense.
And when you find a defense like that, one of the things you like to attack it with is a misdirection play. 3rd and 6 for the Cardinals. Finch and England, the setbacks. This time Hall pitches out to Finch. He bobbles it. Loose ball. Trinity recovers. And a poor pitch back by Sean Hall.
Steve Michelson in on the recovery for the Trinity Trojans, and the Trojans and John Riddell have an excellent opportunity here to put the ball into the end zone.
Let's show you this play again. Watch the pitch. If I see this correctly, it's going to come off the left shoulder. He just led him a little bit too far.
Michelson dropping on the ball there at the 15-yard line, and Riddell and his Trojans now have an excellent opportunity to put the ball in for 6.
Marvelous opportunity. The first turnover of the night. The Trojans trying to punch it in from the 15. They go to Odell. He's hit and dropped as he comes to about the 13. Then down goes a flag. And this is going to, I believe, be called against the Cardinals for face masking, but let's wait and see.
Looks like it will be a personal foul, unnecessary roughness after the play.
Now, I believe that the indication here by the official is face masking, and they're going to charge it. I had the glasses on Jason Lowe. Going to charge that one against Jason. Let's see now. Here's the official coming up. The ball moves down to the 9-yard line. Boy, what a bad time for the Cardinals to pick up a penalty.
Well, that might have very well been out of frustration considering what happened on the previous play, and considering the fact that the Trojans, for the first time tonight, pick up the ball in MacArthur territory, and they do it because of a Cardinal turnover.
Ball on the 9-yard line. Now it's first down on the 9. Here is Weaver driving to the 5-yard line. That's going to be close to the first down. We'll have to see exactly where they spot it. It's inside the 5. Give them the first down. Weaver, a pickup of 4. Weaver now has carried for 45 yards on 8 attempts.
Jason Lowe cutting off the corner there and stopping it at about the 5-yard line.
On the season for Trinity, the leading scorer for Trinity is the quarterback, Ray Hasty. In this situation, they do like to run the option, and Hasty usually does see an opening and keeps it going in for the touchdown.
Odell in motion. Hasty with the ball to Weaver. Hit and dropped on about the 3. And a nice play by Weaver. He was spun around, hit in the back of the 5-yard line, but did not lose his footing until he got down to the 3. A pickup of 2.
Down here near the goal line, Trinity has run to the left side of the line, so they are mixing it up.
2nd and goal from the 3. The Cardinals digging in. The Trojans trying to push it across. Full house backfield. Hasty with the ball. This time on the keeper. Gets to about the 2-yard line. Fake to Weaver. And then wanted to cut off to the side, but was hit and dropped on the 2.
Rusty Hicks going into the pile. Brave fellow that he is at only 5'9", 170 pounds. He's a junior, but he did burrow his way into the middle of the line and stopped the play short of the goal line. So it brings up a 3rd down, and Trinity would really like to put this one in.
Ball just outside the 1-yard line, 3rd and goal. Hasty hands to Weaver, dives in, touchdown Trojans.
Billy Joe with a Gale Sayers, Walter Payton type of move, up and over and into the end zone.
I think BJ might be a little bit tired tonight. Trinity has given them the ball many times, having given the ball to Odell only twice.
6-6 game, and now you see the importance of that blocked extra point. Riddell to attempt the point after. Hasty will hold. The Trojans have the opportunity to break this tie and take the lead. The kick is up and good, and a penalty flag is down. That will be called against MacArthur for roughing the kicker. Brian Love hitting the kicker and not the ball. So the Trojans lead at 7-6, and they will kick the ball off probably from the MacArthur 45-yard line. The officials talking it over between themselves right here, as you can see.
We can see already that that blocked extra point by Trinity could turn out to be a big play in this game. Looks like there's a personal foul on the play, roughing the kicker and the holder both at the same time.
Let's see, you see the official right there. Here's his indication as he's talking to his fellow officials. Now wait a second here, come on. Okay, roughing the kicker. Well, obviously roughing the kicker, the call.
That I don't understand.
I don't either.
When they call a personal foul, they take the ball on the kickoff. Take the penalty on the kickoff.
I think what we had really was offsetting penalties. But so the play will go over again. I think the waving of the hand there by the official indicated offsetting penalties. Again, we'll have the try for point, and a whistle blows. Officials want to make sure that everything is set.
Holding for Trinity is number 11, quarterback Ray Hasty. And doing all the kicking chores for Trinity is number 86, sophomore Brad Riddell.
Okay, now the official again. Now here we go now. Okay, well, there's Riddell, but the official was just showing that time that we had offsetting penalties. So we'll try this point after again. Our score now back to 6-6. Riddell attempting the point after. Kick is up, and kick's good. And it's a 7-6 ball game. Realistically, the only thing that comes out of that is that Trinity will be kicking off from their 40-yard line as opposed to MacArthur's 45, giving MacArthur a better chance at some field position. So the big mistake, the first turnover of the game, a fumble recovered by Trinity on the MacArthur 15, has turned out to be a score with 5:33 remaining. B.J. Weaver punching it in from 1 yard out.
It looks like this ball game is going to be a heck of a lot more of a defensive battle than the first time around, when the final score was MacArthur 22-20. That at Bennington Field, this at Texas Stadium. Two different times of the year, and I guess effectively two different teams right now.
Well, in the first game, it was a low-scoring first half. Most of the points in that game were scored in the fourth quarter. So we could see an explosive second half here tonight.
Both teams rather tentative on offense tonight.
Here's the touchdown play. Watch number 42. He takes it, dives in. He's got the touchdown. That's B.J. Weaver. Riddell to do the kicking off. Hammers it straight down the middle, driving Brian Love about 5 yards back, and it's Mike Harris will bring the ball back. Harris making the grab, looks for some running room, cuts upfield, gets out to the 20, and that's where he stopped. Boy, I don't know. He was lucky to get back the 20-yard line. That ball was pinned about 4 or 5 yards back into the end zone. Heck of a kick by Riddell.
It was a heck of a kick by Riddell, you're right. But it wasn't a bad run by Mark Harris either. That kid's got some speed.
Yes, he does. That's why he's back there to return those kicks.
5'7", 150 pounds, just a little guy, and only a sophomore, but he has a lot more savvy than a sophomore usually does at this point in high school football.
1st and 10. Here is Clark being upended as he comes up to the line of scrimmage for no gain.
Michael Hicks with a big hit there.
The Cardinals cannot get their offense going at all. They've got 2 first downs, one of them by penalty. They have picked up less than 30 yards on the ground.
And I don't think any through the air.
Yes, they've lost 1 yard attempting to pass. So their total yardage is under 30 yards. Boy, you talk about a tenacious defense. That's Toby Richardson, the man in motion. Hit and dropped in his own backfield and then fighting back to the line of scrimmage.
Guess who? Mr. Hicks again. It's his second consecutive solo tackle there.
Bill Clark, the ball carrier. Cardinals have just been stymied here, totally stymied.
The Trinity defense is an awesome unit. They don't give up but about 60 yards, 66 yards a game through the air. So the Cardinals say we'll run the ball, and they can't do that either.
Sean Hall, I'd look for Hall this time to swing wide on a keeper. Let's see. Here's Hall under pressure. Now releases the ball. It is incomplete, and down goes a flag. David Canchola, the intended receiver, on the 25-yard line, and you got to think it's going to be interference.
Well, there's a flag down on this side of the field as well, and the Cardinals are lucky that that ball was not intercepted by Ron Spence, that big kid, the 6'3", 200-pound senior, who's well on his way to becoming a very good college football player.
The officials talking over these various penalties right now. Let's see what we've got.
We've talked many times tonight about Ron Spence being such a great player. Coach Edwards of LD Bell indicated to me that the people in front of him, Michael Hicks and Dean Dunham, make Ron Spence the great player that he is.
And that obviously would make the Trinity defense the kind of tenacious defense that it is.
Okay, 2 penalties against the Cardinals of Irving MacArthur. They had a motion penalty. Then they had offensive pass interference, so that's going to cost them a down, and they send in their kicking team, and they're penalized all the way back to the 10-yard line. So Raines will be punting, and the lone return man, Darren Schultz, is standing on the MacArthur 45-yard line. Even if he were to make a fair catch, now he moves down on the MacArthur 40. He'd have excellent field position for his team. Let's see if the Trojans put on the big rush. Yes, here they come. Raines gets the kick away. Fair catch called for and taken by Raines on the Irving MacArthur 40-yard line. We'll be back in just a moment. Our score, Trinity 7, MacArthur 6. Back we come. While we were away, the Trojans, before they could snap the ball, were assessed a 5-yard penalty on a motion call, illegal procedure actually. So you see the ball now standing just outside the Cardinal 45-yard line. 1st and 15 from that point. Odell is split out wide as a flanker. Farrell, one of the running backs, as is Weaver. They're looking for Odell. He's double teamed and the ball overthrown down on the 20-yard line. It's the second time they've used that formation. Both times they've gone to Odell. Both times the pass has been overthrown.
Why are they not going to shorter patterns with Odell, trying to get Odell more of the action and more room to move with the ball, Mark?
I think they saw something in the first game. When you see Odell and Odell split out, they will pass every time. They will not run, and they did see something in the first game.
But they're going for the long patterns, not the short ones. That's what's confusing me a little bit right now.
Now this time they send Odell in motion. The rush is on, and hit and dropped for a loss in his own backfield. Boy, he never had a chance. Weaver got the handoff, and brother, he was creamed back on the 49-yard line.
Jason Lowe just sitting there waiting for him.
That play developed very slowly for the Trojans.
Well, Coach John Riddell of Trinity must have seen something in the films, because he hasn't stuck with his strengths of running Odell and passing to Riddell.
Here's the ball to Weaver, and clunk. That's it. Now we're back live. 3rd and big yardage. Hasty, the deep drop. He's got 2 men on the far sideline and overthrows his intended receiver down on the 20-yard line. A flag thrown back on the 50.
And again, the Trojans go deep. And again, I can't understand it. If you don't, that must be about the 4th or 5th time that they've gone deep tonight, and they haven't completed one of those passes yet. Why not, when you have a talent like Billy Odell, give him the ball in the flat, or give him the ball just over the middle, give him the ball on a screen? Why go deep?
They may be using this right now as a decoy to set it up later, because they have taken the MacArthur backs deep many times. And I think one of these times you're going to see the receiver fake going deep and come out in the flats, and he'll be sitting there wide open waiting for the pass.
Well, it won't be this time. It's 4th down.
The penalty was against Trinity. The Cardinals declined the penalty. So Trinity in a kicking position here is a high kick. Beautiful kick. Should go all the way in the end zone, and does. And the Cardinals put the ball in play, 1st and 10 on their 20-yard line. From the 49-yard line, that ball traveled 48 yards in the air, hitting on the 1 and then just careening through the end zone.
And if you wondered why a lot of folks were talking about the coach's kid being a starter on this Trinity Trojan team, well, there you see why. He can kick the football. He can place kick the football. He's got 29 catches on the year, and he's only a sophomore. He can play football. That's why he's in this ball game.
1st and 10. Here is Sean Hall rolling to the right, looking to pass. Now unloads one down to Toby Richardson, who makes the grab. 1st and 10 for the Cardinals, down at about the 38-yard line, and Richardson in Trinity's end of the field.
Toby Richardson with about 3 or 4 steps on Steve Michelson. And here you'll see it. Hall will roll to his right, put the ball up, and it will just be run under.
You couldn't quite see that on the replay that time, but Richardson adjusted to the ball extremely well that time. The ball was thrown to his right, adjusted to the ball in flight, and was able to catch it on the 38-yard line.
A 42-yard pickup, 1st and 10 for the Cardinals. Hall this time rolling to the right, gets one block, and then is knocked off his pins down on the 35-yard line. Trinity just trailed out that play very well. They just strung it out.
Judd Adcock was the guy who made the tackle at about the 36-yard line, and that's the first time we heard Adcock's name tonight, but it was a big play because if Hall would have gotten by Adcock, he would have gone a long way.
It's 2nd and 7 from the 35-yard line. We've got one lone running back, and the Cardinals blow it. Take a 5-yard penalty against the Cardinals. They had one. You don't see that formation too often, and the Cardinals were late in getting one of their offensive wide receivers into play. Illegal procedure against the Cardinals, a 5-yard step off. Well, they wanted to show a formation that I have not seen this year. That doesn't mean that they haven't used it. I've only seen the Cardinals in about 4 games. Now we're going to see it again. They've got 3 wide receivers on the far sideline. If we can come back and show it to you. Here is Hall under pressure. Breaks a tackle and rolls out to the 38-yard line before he is dropped. They were looking for the short man, Vanzermeulen. They feinted. They tried to feint the Trojans out of everything by sending 3 wide receivers to the right, and they wanted to throw left.
There's Woodward. Down he goes.
You couldn't see that on the replay, but number 7, Toby Richardson, was standing all alone out on the right side of the line. Had he gotten the ball, he would have had at least 25 yards.
Now we're back to a more routine setup. Hall throws for his intended receiver and underthrows the man down at the 28-yard line.
Well, he might have even thrown that ball away, Bob, because Vanzermeulen was covered like a blanket out there by about 2 or 3 defenders. And I think he just threw that one into the ground and said, let's try again.
It seemed to me so far that MacArthur is not spending much time in the huddle. They're getting in the huddle, calling the play, and getting right to the line of scrimmage because it hasn't taken long for MacArthur to get down to the 39-yard line.
We've got 4th down and about 10 yards for Mack. And they send Tim Raines back to punt. The Trojans don't think he's going to kick it, however. They don't have a return man back. Personally, I think he will kick it. Well, no, he's not.
Wayne England.
Short snap to England, whose hit gains maybe 1 yard.
He looks
a flag
like he's
goes
close,
down, however, so let's see.
Yeah, there is a flag down.
You needed 10 yards on that play. England got 1 of them. So let's see. Indication is the penalty is going to be against Trinity. Oh, boy, they have hurt themselves so many times on penalties. But let's see what the official says. Grabbing the face mask. That probably will be a 5-yard step off as opposed to an intentional face masking call. But let's wait and see what the official paces it off. How many yards? Will it be 5 or 15?
See if we can take a look at that play and see where that
5-yard step off.
I would certainly like for them to try to figure out who it was because there was about 8 guys on the play. Here you can see it on the replay.
Yeah, really.
Apparently number 16, Peter Gingras, on the face mask for Trinity.
The ball is on the 34-yard line. Now let's see. The ball's on the 34. You've got a 4th down situation. 4th and about 5. And of course the Cardinals are going for it. England and Clark, the running backs. Vanzermeulen in motion. Hall, the quarterback, with the ball. fakes the handoff, looks for the block. A flag's down. They hit Canchola across the middle down to the 22-yard line. But remember, a flag's down, and I think this will go against. Yeah, I think this is going to go against the Cardinals. Let's wait and see what it is.
Hall did an excellent job there, faking the handoff to the left side, rolled out right, and had the man wide open across the middle. Looks to me like that is their bread and butter play on a long situation.
They've used it several times during the course of the season. You're going to see it right now. Canchola was open there. Now they're going to step the 5-yard penalty off against the Cardinals. We'll move the ball back to about the 39-yard line. These teams just exchanging penalties.
Well, the Cardinals are going to call a timeout and see what to do here. This has been a real ugly one so far, folks. A lot of penalties called in this ball game.
1:09 remaining in the first half. We've got a 4th and about 11-yard situation. Ray Overton out on the field talking to the referee, wants to know exactly what the call was. And the referee really never gave a signal as to what the infraction was. He just pointed to the Cardinals and moved the ball back 5 yards. I guess that's why Ray went out there and said, okay, you know, we're guilty of what? Now the official has told Ray, and now he's going back talking to some of the other officials. So right now the Cardinals trying to formulate a play, and this is a great time for you armchair quarterbacks. Here's the situation. The Cardinals have got the ball, 4th and about 11, the ball resting on the Trinity 39-yard line. Trinity leads by 1.7 to 6. You've got 1:09 remaining. What kind of a play do you call for? Realizing that the run thus far has just not worked for the Cardinals. They've not been able to do anything running. They have picked up one major gain of 42 yards, a pass play from Sean Hall to Toby Richardson.
I think the main reason that MacArthur's not going to punt is because every time they punted tonight, it's gone into the end zone, and you're only gaining 19 yards.
Well, it really is academic whether they punt or not. The time is so sparing here. We've got 69 seconds left in the half. But they are showing punt formation as Raines. No, I'll take that back.
They're going
I'll take it back. They're going for it from the I formation. Hall with the ball, rolls to the right, looks downfield. He's got Clark wide open, and he dropped the football. They had an easy first down, and Clark dropped the football.
Clark had a good 15-20 yards of just nothing but artificial turf in front of him, and I think he was probably thinking more about that than he was about catching the football, because it hit him right in the perfect place, right in the hands.
Let's show it to you. Here's Hall going right, turning left, passing the Clark, and bam, and it's a perfectly thrown pass. You can't blame Hall at all.
Oh, he saw the first down there.
So it's 1st and 10 for the Trojans with 1:04 remaining. They've got 2 wide receivers out to the left. They might go for the big one right now. Hasty back, but flags fly and look for a 5-yard step off, and I think this will be against the Trojans.
Well, you know, you said there was 69 seconds left in the half just a few moments ago, but that's more than enough time to score a touchdown, and you know the Trojans want to score again. A 1-point lead is not something that you sit on, and I think that you can look for Hasty to go to the air because he does have some good receivers.
With the type of talent of Odell and Riddell, it's exactly right. Splitting them both out to one side, you've got to have at least 3 defensive backs to cover them.
But the Trojans have called timeout right now.
But do you go deep here like they've tried to go all night long, or do you try to pick it up 10, 15 yards at a time?
I think this might be the time to fake the long pass and hit a curl at about 20 yards. An easy 20 yards there because Trinity has gone deep the whole night, and they could catch the MacArthur defensive backs napping.
It's possible, but remember, to score a touchdown, the Trojans are going to have to move this ball 62 yards, and they've got 1:03 in which to do it. Now, they might go for a short pass just to put in the mind of the Cardinal defense that, yes, we can throw short, and that's something for you to think about in the second half, as opposed to go short with the intention of maybe this one will break for the touchdown.
Well, what Mark says is true. It's the first time I heard of an offensive unit setting up the short pass by going with the bomb.
With the long, yes, right, yeah. And that's the
truth. But you never know.
Okay, we've got a 1st and 10. There was no penalty. Here is the handoff to Weaver, and he is hit and dropped back at the line of scrimmage. Well, the Cardinals just came in blitzing that time, and Weaver just took a pounding as he went down.
Jason Lowe with another big gain tonight, making the tackle and the stop on BJ right there at about the 38-yard line.
Well, if they're setting something up, I sure would like to know what it is, because I haven't understood why they're running and why they're going deep. Their strength is hitting the short pass to Riddell and Odell, but they haven't done that yet.
Now they do have the two wide receivers, Odell and Riddell. To the left-hand side, Hasty under pressure, trying to get away and will not do it, and is dropped back on the 33-yard line.
Eric Allman putting the pressure on again, and this time, well, the Cardinals drop him for a nice loss, about six-yard loss.
You can credit the defensive backs for that play. There was no opening in the defense. They had him covered totally. Hasty had nowhere to go, and the MacArthur defensive line was in the backfield.
Well, there's a timeout on the field now, and Hasty is on the far sideline talking to his head coach, John Riddell, about what to do, and they seem to be having a very intense conversation over there.
Well, keep in mind this year, Billy Odell has a good arm and has thrown several completions. So they might pitch out to Odell going out right, throwing it deep. With 8 seconds to go, all you can hope for is a Hail Mary pass. Possibly getting into field goal range, maybe having enough time for one more play.
You're going to need more than a Hail Mary on that one. You've only got 8 seconds to go. I'll tell you, you're going to need some guy who's faking the clock for you, for one thing.
There you go.
Barring a penalty or an incomplete pass, this should be the last play of the first half.
Well, in football, you never know.
No, you don't. That's what makes it such a great game. 7-6. Trinity leads by 1. They send Odell in motion. This time they go on the draw.
Wasn't much of a trick play there.
No, not at all. They held it to the ground. Weaver picks up 6, and that's going to be it. So here we are at halftime. Heck of a ball game, a defensive struggle. The Trojans of Trinity 7, the Cardinals of Irving MacArthur 6. We'll be back in just a moment. It's halftime here at Texas Stadium, and on the playing surface right now we have the MacArthur band, Big Lone Star State. That's the formation that the band has formed, and I think you can see that there on your screens. 7-6 our score. The Trojans of Trinity out in front of Irving MacArthur in a defensive battle. A punt return by Brian Love being the only score for Irving MacArthur. That came with 11:34 remaining in the first quarter of play as Love ran back a punt for the touchdown. And then the only other score set up by a fumble, poor pitch out by Sean Hall to Reggie Finch. The ball recovered on the 15-yard line. A few plays later, B.J. Weaver plunged in from 1 yard out. Point after was good. The point attempt by the Cardinals, by the way, was blocked. It's 7-6. Now let's go down to the band and the Irving MacArthur band and drill team.
at the end of it, pull it around.
There you have the presentation of the Irving MacArthur Band and Drill Team Cardettes putting on a special performance, and a very sprightly one indeed. You know, this really has to be a great feeling for all these young people from the high school. They get an opportunity to perform the same place where the Dallas Cowboys play, and obviously the Dallas cheerleaders and what have you. So it's an opportunity for them to actually come into a place that they've seen many times on television, even though it is a location located within their own home community, but one that probably the only time they really get to see is if they attend the game here when the Cowboys are playing, or if they just watch a Cowboy game on television. But this is one night, really their night to howl, and for these youngsters, their night to perform, because they get the opportunity to come right out here and really, in a sense, do their thing. And they had an excellent display of the precision marching, along with the display that the band put on, not only playing, but the various formations that the band went into. Now we've got the Trinity Band coming on, and you know that these youngsters don't want to be outdone, so I imagine we're going to see another very fine performance here at halftime. Briefly recapping, perhaps, for those of you who might have joined us in the midst of this game, we're at halftime. The score is 7-6. The Trojans of Trinity out in front of the Cardinals of Irving MacArthur. The difference in the game, a block extra point. The touchdown scored by MacArthur came on a punt return by Brian Love in the first quarter. The touchdown by the Trinity Trojans set up by a fumble recovery on the Cardinal 15-yard line, and then the ball was carried in from 1 yard out by the fullback, B.J. Weaver. The point after converted by young Mr. Riddell, Brad Riddell, hitting the point after. And so that's where we stand, 7-6. Now let's go down to the field and pick up the Trinity Trojan Marching Band.
And welcome back to Texas Stadium, everybody. Halftime of the MacArthur Cardinals game and the Trinity Trojans. Trojans leading 7-6 right now. And we are happy to tell you that this game is brought to you by Sawyer's Sporting Goods Store, formerly known as the Shirt Shack, and 1 Hour Martinizing Dry Cleaning, Staveley's Dry Cleaning, and Irving Community Hospital. Your well-being is our concern. A defensive battle in the first half of this ball game. Trinity and MacArthur 7-6 at halftime. It was expected to be a good ball game, and that's what we've got right now. But I'll tell you what, a lot of mistakes in the first half leading to both the scores, and a flea flicker leading to the first points of the ball game. Let's get to that. Dipsy-do on a punt. Trinity back to kick it away. Riddell putting it high and deep. It is taken in by number 4, Mark Harris. Starts around one side, but hands off to Brian Love. And Love is off to the races, 55 yards. And he goes into the end zone for a touchdown. It is 6-0. The Cardinals of MacArthur. The extra point, as you see here, is blocked by number 44, Richie Merritt. And it was 6-0 Cardinals. Then the big turnover. Hall trying to pitch it out to Reggie Finch. Finch cannot get a handle on it, and it is recovered by number 25, Steve Michelson, which sets up this score, and it's taken in by number 42, Billy Joe Weaver. The extra point was good. There are some very happy Trojan fans as they are holding on to a 7-6 lead right now as the Cardinals come out onto the field looking for a better second half. And Ray Overton talking over with them in the dressing room exactly what they can do against a very stingy Trojan defense. First half stats, Trinity and MacArthur even on first downs. Yards rushing, the Trojans with 65, more than doubling the output of the Cardinals. Yards passing. Now here is somewhat of a surprise. We didn't expect Trinity to come through with only 13 yards through the air, but we certainly didn't expect to see MacArthur with 41 yards through the air when Trinity gives up only an average of 66 yards a ball game. And the total 78-71, pretty close there. And well, the fumbles, that is the big story. MacArthur with a big turnover down deep in their own territory. It led to Trinity's only score of the ball game, and Trinity thus takes a 7-6 lead going into this third quarter of play. Bob?
You might remember, if you've been with us since the outset of this ball game, that the Cardinals won the toss but elected to do absolutely nothing. That therefore the option rested with the Trojans of Trinity, and they decided to receive the football. That being the case, now the Cardinals have got the option in the second half. Of course, they want the football, so Brad Riddell has set it up on the 40. That's where the kicking tee is placed. There is Brad along with one of the game officials. He'll be kicking off. Mike Harris along with Love and Raines are the deep return men for the Cardinals. Here it comes down to Love on the 4-yard line, running straight up the middle of the field, makes a cut. Notice he carries that ball with one hand, and then down it goes on the 25, and down goes the flag. And boy, we have seen more flags. You'd think that this was a Patriots day. They have been throwing a bunch of them, I'll tell you. First play of the second half, down go the flags. And let's see if the call is against the Cardinals. It is for clipping. They'll be assessed the 15-yard step off.
Tackle on the play for Trinity, number 23, Angelo Ballone, along with about 3 other Trojans.
So the ball will go all the way back to the Cardinal 11-yard line. And remember, the Cardinals have had a lot of trouble moving the ball. As Alan told you, yes, they have picked up 41 yards through the air, but that all came on one pass play to Toby Richardson. As far as their ground game is concerned, it's just about non-existent. Their leading rusher on 8 attempts is Bill Clark. In 8 carries, he's gained 12 yards. That it really is a tribute to a very fine Trojan defense. Here is Bill Clark with the ball out to the 15-yard line, straight off tackle play.
Michael Hicks in on the stop there.
Along with number 81, Ron Spence. Those two guys have had a lot of tackles tonight.
Canchola, Pascal, Alford, Spears, Gibson, Ensley, and Tim Raines, of course, is a split end. Then at quarterback, you have Sean Hall. The backfield, Bill Clark, Wayne England, and Bonzer Mullen is the wideout.
Again, they go to Clark. Got some running room. Breaks into the opens. Got the first down out to the 28-yard line. A pickup of 12 by Bill Clark.
Judd Adcock with an excellent open field tackle on the play, bringing down Clark. And if he had not brought down Clark, well, Clark may have gone for another 15 or 20 yards.
That was a touchdown-saving tackle there. Credit the play. Good job by the offensive line for MacArthur. Opened up a humongous hole for him, and he got a gain of about 15.
This time they go into Wayne England, who's hit almost immediately, but he is able to twirl ahead for about 1 yard.
Excellent penetration by John McLemore, who was there to stop Wayne England. And here is the way that Trinity defense shapes up. Woodward, Dunham, Hicks, Gingus, Birchfield, Spence, and Willis, with the quarterbacks Michelson and Velotis. And they are looking awfully good tonight, that defensive unit of Trinity.
Stadler in motion. We've got a 2nd and 9 situation. The pitch back to Clark's got one man blocking for him. Clark out to the 34-yard line, pickup of about 5.
And again, Michael Hicks in on the tackle there. Hicks playing an excellent ball game tonight, as is that whole defensive unit.
One of the things that the Cardinals have done on this very small drive thus far has had moved the ball with some authority. Bill Clark being the workhorse. He's carried 3 times here in the second half and has picked up 23 yards. Again, the call goes to Clark, and he's grabbed around the shoulders and ridden down close to the 42-yard line.
It'll be short, though, of a first down, which will bring up a punting situation for the Cardinals, and on comes the punting team for MacArthur.
We said the 42. Correct that to read the 37.
As we said in the first half, low-scoring first half with the score 7-6. In the first meeting between these two teams, it was a low-scoring first half, but a big explosion in the 3rd and 4th quarter. We'll look for that tonight.
Raines back to do the punting. The Trojans showing that they're going to put on a big rush. Here they come. Raines gets the kick away. This is Schultz back, watches it hit the 30, and he'll just let it roll dead. Comes inside the 25, down to the 20, still to the 19 where it dies, and that's where the ball will be put in play.
And you got to think that Schultz should have gone after that punt, because he let it roll and it took a MacArthur bounce, and if he had picked it up, it would have saved the Trojan a good 15, 16, 17 yards on the play.
The kick and the subsequent roll travels 44 yards. The Trojans now with their first time here in the second half. They'll put it in play, 1st and 10 on their 19.
On offense for Trinity, once again, we'll look for the short pass. We don't know if we'll get it or not, but we'll look for it.
That is Farrow in motion. The handoff to Weaver out to the 20-yard line just to cross it. Give him a pickup of 2. B.J. Weaver is the leading ground gainer in the game thus far, picking up 51 yards in the first half.
He did have an excellent first half, but to be perfectly honest, the Cardinals defense playing some good ball tonight and keeping that rushing game of the Trojans down somewhat.
Hasty again goes to B.J. Weaver out to the 23 for about 2. Trojans playing kind of close to the vest on these first 2 snaps.
Well, this is where I think we'll probably see the Trojans start to loosen things up a bit. They're down deep in their own territory, but they are now facing 3rd down and about 5. So
well, Alan,
very well go to the air.
It seemed to me like they loosened things up pretty good in the first half.
Yeah, but they just didn't complete any passes. That's all. They tried to loosen things up.
Hasty with the ball goes to Farrow. He runs into a sea of red shirts and is stopped at the 25. They get about 2 on the play, and that's calling for what should be a punting situation. On comes the kicking ensemble for both teams. The Cardinals sending in their return team. That's Brian Love, along with young Mr. Harris.
Looked on that set of that drive there. Looked to me like they were down on the goal line. 3 shots up the middle, gained a total of 7 yards on 3 plays, and Riddell punts.
Good kick by Riddell, driving Harris back. He's got it on his 25. Gets 1 block from Love. Now cuts, turns the field. Can he outrun the defenders to the 40 and is dragged down on the 42-yard line? Nice return by Harris. Boy, he showed a lot of speed.
Danielle Farrow making the tackle over there, but you're right. Harris making 1 move to the near sideline and then cutting it back to the far side and almost outran Danielle Farrow. And if he had, he might have had himself a touchdown.
That there's not something that you teach. The great speed there on the return. Here you can see on the replay. All speed, natural ability on this one.
And a good move. He'll cut to his left and then back to the right. There he goes back to the right. Now he takes the wide turn and around he goes. Now we're back live. And the Cardinals hammer it out to the 45-yard line. A very short gain that time by Bill Clark.
Count the Trojans in on that play. Bob, you said it earlier, and you can say it 1,000 times an evening. It's a swarming defense, and these guys just go to the ball like bees to honey. Excellent defense the Trojans have.
2nd and 8 for the Cardinals on their 45-yard line. England is the lone running back, gets the ball and is just swarmed over by about 4 blockers.
Super play that time by number 16, Peter Gingras. Nobody picked him up, went right in the backfield and found the back, held him to a gain of about 1.
So you got a 3rd and 8 situation as the Cardinals play it a little bit close to the vest.
Gingras is a junior defensive end, played defensive back all through his career in junior high, but was moved to defensive end because of his mobility at Trinity.
Let's see Hall on a rollout to the right. Let's see if that's what they call. They send Von Zemulin that way. Here's Hall rolling to the right, flag down, goes deep downfield, overthrows the intended receiver. That was Von Zemulin. But remember, a flag is down, and it's down in the Cardinal backfield. Makes you think it's probably offensive holding.
On the
Motion against the Cardinals.
On the defense back there for Trinity, number 25, Steve Michelson. Got a good shot from the MacArthur receiver.
Well, you have to believe that the Trojans are going to say, we don't want the penalty. We'll take the play, an incompleted pass. And that's going to bring up a kicking situation for the Cardinals.
The Cardinals have been getting some receivers open tonight, but they haven't been able to connect except on that one big play to Toby Richardson in the first half.
Well, we have seen a lot of yellow flags tonight.
Raines to do the kicking. Schultz, the return man, standing on his own 25-yard line. Tim Raines has been an outstanding kicker for the Cardinals all year long, and many times he's kicked under tremendous pressure. Here is a high sailing kick. Schultz calls the fair catch, fumbles it, and the Cardinals have got the ball.
Marty Molina coming up with the fumble recovery, and he was sitting in the right place at the right time as Schultz tried to pull it in, but may have taken his eyes off it to look downfield to see who was coming, and when he did that, he dropped the ball, and Molina was on it.
The fast pass, hook-in pass, completed down to the 25-yard line. Terry Shoemake, the receiver, picking up 5 yards, and this is a play they tried in the first half, but could not complete.
On the fumble for Trinity, looked to me like a sophomore mistake, not keeping his eyes on the ball, looking upfield, and did fumble the ball.
Breakdown in the backfield of the Cardinals.
Talk about mistakes.
Hand off to Wayne England, and there was a lot of hesitation on that one.
Hall and England just running into each other, and before you knew it, there was a bunch of Trojans in the backfield, so there's a loss on the play, and that will bring up a 3rd down and 10 to go now for MacArthur.
Once again,
got a very big break on that fumble.
Once again, Peter Gingras getting into the backfield, dropping the MacArthur running back for a loss.
You got a 3rd and 10 situation. Let's see what the Cardinals go to. Here they have Richardson tripped up and dropped on the wide receiver, reverse down on the 26-yard line, and it was an ankle tackle that really saved the first down for the Trinity team. And now look for an attempt for a field goal. They've got the field goal kicker in. Chris Henderson comes in, puts the kicking tee down on the 34-yard line. This would be a 44-yard field goal attempt. Henderson, the left-footed kicker.
We'll look for that left side of the Trinity line, getting in there, attempting to block it.
Toby Richardson the hold. The ball is snapped. The kick is in the air long enough. It is good. Chris Henderson, a 44-yard field goal. And the Cardinals are back out in front, 9-7.
The Trinity defense almost did get in that time to block the kick. Just came up a little bit short. Excellent leg for MacArthur. They lead 9-7.
With 4:22 remaining in the third quarter, we'll be back in a moment. Nine to 7 our score. We're all set for the kickoff. Here we go. Henderson, who put in the 44-yard field goal. A high end over end kick. Grabbed by the Trojans. This is Schultz, who's trying to redeem the fumble. Comes up to the 20, out to the 25-yard line, and that's where he stopped. Trojans ball, 1st and 10 on their own 25. Time-wise, 4:15 in the third quarter. So the only 2 turnovers that we've had result in scores. Sets up the Trojans' lone touchdown, now sets up the field goal by the Cardinals. They're out in front 9-7.
And a bit of deja vu. Cardinals leading by 2 points right now. Second game of the season in a non-district game. The Trojans were beaten by these same Cardinals by 2, 22-20.
Hasty with the ball. The pitch out to Odell, who fumbles it out of bounds and fumbles it for a 3-yard gain. Make it a 4-yard gain out to the 29-yard line.
Well, that's the third time tonight Billy Odell's touched the ball. On that kickoff return, number 12, Darren Schultz, looked to me like he was trying to avenge that drop punt, going all out to return that kickoff. There's a good kickoff return.
Very talented offensive backfield for the Trojans with Odell.
2nd and 6. They've got Farrow in a receiving position, but they hand the ball off to the setback, who's brought down. That's B.J. Weaver. He got 2 very tough yards.
John Harrison in on the stop then, and they did have somewhat of a blitz on, but it was picked up. And Harrison came up and made the stop of B.J., and it will bring up a 3rd down and about 4 to go now, a little bit more than 4 now for the Trojans.
Ball on the 31-yard line, a long 4 for Trinity. Riddell split out wide. In the slot position is Odell. Riddell and Odell. Odell up against Brian Love. The Tigers taking an awfully long time here. Now the handoff goes to Weaver, who breaks out loose. Weaver runs for the first down and fumbles the ball, and the Cardinals have recovered.
This has been a game of mistakes and a game of penalties, but it has also been a game of big plays, and the one that has turned in this time around is by number 55, Craig Fleischman, who jumped on that football. And they did have a mix-up in the backfield. Odell not knowing where to go, then B.J. fumbling the ball right there, and it's picked up at the 45-yard line of the Trojans by Fleischman.
And I'll tell you what, you got to give a lot of credit to the Cardinal player who stripped the ball. That was Eric Alman, the free safety, who stripped the ball out of Weaver's hands. 1st and 10, Cards with the ball on the Trinity 45-yard line. The handoff this time and hit almost instantly as Reggie Finch gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
On that fumble for Trinity, first mistake by Odell, they lucked out and got past it. The second mistake, they weren't quite lucky. MacArthur has the ball on the Trinity 45-yard line.
Really, MacArthur has not been able to move the ball at all. Their only score here in the second half set up by the fumble. Now they've got their second fumble recovery here in the third quarter, and let's see what they can do with the ball.
You got to think it's got something to do with postseason jitters.
And good defense. Hall rolls out, overthrows the intended receiver, Tim Raines, down on the 25-yard line.
Both these clubs not making a lot of mistakes throughout the season, but they are tonight.
Well, go right ahead.
So far tonight, turnovers are 2 for 2 and scores. And trying to go 3 for 3. Good field position for MacArthur, but they do have a 3rd down and 10 right now. And this is a big play for Trinity, needing to stop them to get the ball back and take the lead again.
MacArthur has got Toby Richardson in the slot. Watch for him. He's a very talented receiver. Now they set him in motion. That'll probably take him out of the play. Hall fakes the Finch. Rolls to the right. He'll run with the ball to the 40. puts one good move on, got the first down as he comes inside the 35 down to the 33, and a tremendous effort by Sean Hall. He needed 10, he got 12.
That was all Sean Hall.
It sure was. And we've seen that young man do that many times during the course of this season. He is a tremendous competitor. Sean Hall really is not a fast runner. He's not a good passer. He's just the kind of guy who beats you all the time.
Yeah. He's a late McElhaney type, the former SMU quarterback type.
Here's Hall with the ball on the keeper. Gets inside the 30 down to the 29-yard line. He was hit and moving backwards. Actually, he was spun around 180 degrees so that his back was to the goal line, but he just kept moving backwards, and in moving backwards, he was really advancing to the goal line. Give him a pickup of 3 just inside the 30. It's 2nd and 7.
So far tonight, quarterback Sean Hall has impressed me very much. He has not made any mistakes so far.
They give the ball to Finch, tries to go wide, now looks for the cut, needs one block, he's got it. 15, 10, 5, touchdown Cardinals.
Oh,
what a run.
Bit of running by Reggie Finch. The Cardinal bench going crazy here on the near sideline.
As are the fans, they're going wild. Boy, that run is a keeper.
What a series of 4 or 5 moves by Reggie Finch and a high wire act down the sideline from about 15 yards out. He makes the twinkle toe dance down the sideline, takes it into the end zone, and MacArthur gets another 6 points to go up 15-7.
Once again, Alan, just like on that punt return, you don't teach that. That's all natural ability right there. Broke about 8 tackles on that play.
Henderson's kick is good, and the Cardinals are out in front 16-7. And I know down on the truck, our tape crew is going to show you this run by Finch. Just as soon as we get it ready, we'll show it to you, because this thing is really spectacular. There were 3 different players who had attempt at getting him. Let's go to the tape and show you what a run Finch makes here.
Now watch what he does down the sideline to keep his balance.
It looked to me like he might have stepped out. Oh.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. It looked to me like he did, but he didn't.
What a run. Woo. 1:56 to go. And those of you who are Cardinal fans watching the game, I guess one of the nice consolations is that Reggie Finch is a sophomore.
Well, for MacArthur, you haven't been able to see the touchdowns, expecting them, because they both come on big plays. 44-yard field goal, 55-yard punt return, and about a 22-yard touchdown run.
Now it's a 29-yard run.
Yeah, let's give him all the credit on that one. We'll give him 7 more yards and make it 29.
29.
That was a beautiful run. That was poetry in motion.
Both touchdown runs have been all natural ability. Great moves by the backs of MacArthur, and they've impressed me with their great speed tonight. Back for Trinity, sophomore number 12, Darren Schultz.
MacArthur having it all their way here in the opening moments of the second half.
Henderson booms one down to Schultz on the 10. Back he comes, and he's got some running room, and he's driven out of bounds as he clears the 30 out to the 32.
2 turnovers and 10 points in the first 10 minutes of the second half leads to 10 points for MacArthur, and that is something that the Cardinals just have got to love to see. Ray Overton is probably licking his chops for another turnover on the sideline.
Well, one thing that you got to think about now, and that is simply that I would believe Trinity is going to go to the air a little bit more. They still got plenty of time. We got 1:50 here in the third quarter. They're down by 9 points from the full house backfield. Hasty with the ball, gives to the fullback. That's Weaver. Weaver out to about the 34. Credit him with a pickup of 2. And believe me, that was a very tough 2 yards.
Well, everybody on that red sideline is very enthusiastic, and the adrenaline is flowing and pumping right now like you wouldn't believe, considering what's happened early here in the third quarter. The defense, which was good in the first half, is continuing to do what it has to do for MacArthur to win this ball game here in the second half.
Hasty with the ball, and down goes the flag.
Trinity has got to cut down on the mistakes, and they've got to get Billy Odell and Brad Riddell in the game.
That was a play where they were faking the handoff, and the pass was intended, although it wasn't thrown. The quarterback took a deep drop, and Riddell was racing down the field, but it's illegal procedure, 5-yard call against the Trojans. And one thing that has hurt this Trinity team tonight has been the tremendous amount of penalties that they have picked up. It has really haunted them. They've got a second down situation now. Ball back on the 29-yard line. Second and about 14. They send Odell in motion. Watch him because he's always dangerous. Hasty just smothered as he wanted to pitch back. He was really creamed. What a shot by John Harrison.
Well, he was looking to dump the ball off to B.J., and B.J. never got the ball.
Boy, I'll tell you one thing. Hasty showed his ability by not fumbling this ball. He is careened. Bam!
He got through the line so quickly. Hasty couldn't react. He got through so quick.
And the Cardinals are calling a timeout.
So far tonight, Alan, looks to me like the defense is going to win this game.
Well, that's been the story so far.
They always
You're right.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the offense that everyone loves to watch because it's so spectacular, but football is won by defense. And most coaches will tell you that. And really, you've got two coaches tonight who are great believers in defense.
So far tonight, looks to me like specialty teams have played a big part in this game. Big punt return by MacArthur and big kickoff returns by both Trinity and MacArthur, setting up good field position.
John Riddell, the head coach for Trinity. I first followed John's career when he was the head coach of Arlington High School with the Colts. Then he moved out to Midland for some time. So he and Ray Overton have butted heads before they came. Yes, sure. Before they moved back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Overton coaching in Abilene and Riddell in Midland, and then as fortune had it, Riddell came back and joined Trinity, and then Overton moved into Irving MacArthur.
Speaking of those West Texas teams, we can expect to see a good bit from Odessa Permian and Midland Lee again this year.
3rd and 15, two receivers split out wide. Cardinals show blitz. Here they come. It's picked up nicely. Hasty, a desperation throw, and he's got a man open and got it.
Odell did the job that he had to do. A flag is down, apparently against the Cardinals, but Odell just came back for that ball.
That was Brad Riddell on that catch, and once again, you can see the great job. Here we see on the replay, adjusting to the ball in flight, coming back to catch the ball. Good job by Hasty getting the ball off.
And Riddell came back to that ball.
Great catch by...
Well, I thought I saw 26, which would have made it Odell, but if it was 86, it was Riddell.
Yeah,
well, if we can see the replay once again, we'll settle this argument.
It's Riddell.
In either event, it was an excellent move to the ball because it was poorly thrown by Hasty, and Riddell...
Great catch by Trinity, we'll say.
Yeah, let's say that. Riddell coming back, making the catch, fighting off the defender, and now they tack on another 10 yards.
Roughness.
Another 10 yards for unnecessary roughness. The Cardinals now with their backs to the wall, and Trinity with an excellent opportunity to put one in here.
Once again, penalties playing a humongous role in this game tonight.
1st and 10 for the Trojans. So they had a 3rd and 15. Now they've got a 1st and 10 on the 24-yard line. Here is Hasty taking the deep drop, looks the pass, shoots it into the corner, man open, but the ball overthrown. A break for the Cardinals.
Great effort by Brad Riddell, not knowing that he was out of bounds, and it was academic whether he caught the ball or not. Hasty did throw the ball out of bounds, and it was uncatchable.
Well, the ball was thrown to Odell. This is Odell down there. That's number 26. Riddell
One
moves
is
to the center of
26.
the line.
One is
Odell.
86.
Right.
Okay.
Odell was the deep man in the corner. Riddell was wide open in the middle of the field.
We'll get that straight here in a minute.
Farrell, the man in motion. They go to Odell, the ball carrier, to the 20, and a flag goes. There's the field judge throwing the old flag there, so let's see what this one's going to be called against.
Alan, that was Billy Odell on the carry for Trinity.
I never doubted it, yeah.
And I don't think we'll have much controversy over that one.
Another flag down on the field, too.
This
This one will
be
be marched
offensive
off against
holding.
Trinity.
Almost always when the field judge throws a flag, you're going to see offensive holding. I'd say about 85% of the time. There it is. Move that ball back to the 34-yard line, and another penalty against the Trojans.
Once again, penalties killing Trinity, moving them back 10 yards, making it 2nd down and 20.
Ball on the 34-yard line. 2nd and 20 from that point. And that's the end of the third quarter. It now goes into the record books. After 3 quarters of play, our score, the Cardinals of Irving MacArthur 16, the Trinity Trojans 7. Back in just a moment. We're ready for the first play of the fourth quarter. 2 wide receivers split out to the right. Hasty under pressure, runs into his own man and pitches back, loose ball. Odell picks it up but is creamed back on the 45-yard line. A loss of 11 on the play. Hasty, avoiding the rush, ran into one of his own men. Then in desperation, as he was about to be swarmed on, pitched back. It was a loose ball. Odell fell on it back on the 45, a loss of 11.
Hasty running into Chuck Apple, the kid who was injured in the first half, and then trying to make something out of the play. Attempted to pitch it to Odell, but in my opinion, bad judgment. That could have ended up in another turnover. But fortunately for Trinity, it ends up with Odell catching the ball and him falling on it.
Riedel and Odell, the deep man. Here's a short pass underthrown. Tremendous pressure on Hasty. He was just scrambling for his life. The Cardinals, sensing a pass was coming, they sent 3 men down. Now let's see. I don't see a flag, but 2 officials are talking. Oh yes, there is a flag down there. The Cardinals seem to think that the call is going to go against the Trojans, but let's just wait and see.
Well, it was thrown down in the area where it would be pass interference against the Trojans.
Ineligible receiver. Oh no, it's offensive pass interference. Loss of down is the call.
Jeff Greer and John Harrison will be right in the way of this ball, but Billy Odell didn't have a chance to catch that one, really. It was shortly thrown.
Well, the Trojans just take themselves out of it by all kinds of penalties and a fumble, and they're going to have to boot this ball away. At least we're making the assumption they'll kick it away. Now we've got Harris and Love, Mark Harris and Brian Love. These 2 youngsters can fly.
4th down and 46. I think they'll putt it, Bob.
I would think so, yes, but one can never tell.
I wouldn't say that was a very successful drive, if you want to call it a drive for Trinity. Trying to punt back to the original line of scrimmage.
Here's Brian Love trying to return the ball and is smacked down on the 15-yard line. A good kick by Riddell.
John
really.
Skinner there to jump on Harris, and then the rest of the Trinity ball players came down and finished him off.
So, had that been Trinity's offense, they would have gained a first down by the skin of their tongue.
Trinity had the ball punting from their 40-yard line, and now the Cardinals put it in play just shy of their 15. A very good kick by Riddell. 1st and 10 for the Cardinals. Time 11:03 here in the final quarter of play. The handoff, Reggie Finch, flags fly as he's hit behind the line of scrimmage and knocked down on about the 13-yard line. And let's see what this call will be. I've got to believe this is going to be against the Cardinals, but let's wait and see.
Trojans evidently think that they recovered the football down around the 12-yard line there. Finch is down on the play. Looks like he is hurt, and the call is holding against the Cardinals.
Holding against the Cards is correct.
Right now, Trinity's looking for any break they can, and if they can trick the ref into giving them the ball, by gosh, they'll do it.
They need to manufacture something here, and let's see if we can grab a hold of where the holding penalty took place.
I don't think that we'll see that, but we're going to see Reggie Finch really take a shot. See, he fell on the ball.
Looked like he did fumble the ball, but he was on the ground already. He is still on the ground. Cheerleaders on the MacArthur side having a good time tonight.
Warming up for Trinity, number 12, Darren Schultz.
Is he the better passer?
He has a good arm. At only being a sophomore, he will be Trinity's starting quarterback next year. He is a good passer and a good runner.
Reggie Finch is now up, and he's being helped off the field.
It's like the left ankle might be what is hurting him.
Yeah. You'll notice he's keeping that foot off the ground.
Schultz and Hasty were very close in the running for the starting quarterback spot in the preseason. Hasty winning out mostly because he is a senior.
We've got 10 minutes, 56 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Cardinals will have the ball, second down on their 13-yard line. England and Clark are the running backs. That's Von Zermeulen in motion, but I seriously doubt that we're going to see a pass. Look for Hall to scamper with the ball. Hit and dropped, and a great tackle. Beautiful defensive play that time.
Steve Michelson.
Exactly right. Michelson in to make a key tackle because Hall had some running room, and Michelson cuts him down from the left cornerback
just
position.
comes right through those two folks that were leading the way for Hull and makes the tackle. And as you said, Bob, just an excellent open field tackle to stop Hall for a loss.
You can see on that replay the great penetration, as we've talked about all night, of the Trinity defense.
So a third down situation, two wide receivers, the handoff to Clark. A quick hitter fights his way out to the 20-yard line. He's going to be short of the first down. The ball moves from the 11 out to the 20, a pickup of 9 by Bill Clark. Clark now has rushed for 48 yards in 14 carries. The big ground gainer thus far is B.J. Weaver in 18 attempts. He's moved the ball 73 yards. Let's give Clark a pickup of 10 on the play. Therefore, he has now moved it 49 yards. Tim Raines to do the punting. Schultz, the lone return man. Time-wise, we're at the 9.5-minute mark. Big rush. Raines gets the kick away again. Fair catch called by Schultz, and he's got it on his 48-yard line.
That was Adcock, Judd Adcock, who was set into the game.
Having seen number 12 Schultz warm up on the sideline, we did expect him to come in at quarterback, but Riddell sticks to his starter, number 11, Ray Hasty.
Hasty in there. Odell out in motion to the far sideline. Hasty fakes the handoff, looks to pass, got all the time in the world. He's going to Odell, and it's underthrown and incomplete.
Brian Love on the coverage for MacArthur there. And again, Hasty just didn't have the arm to get it to his wide receiver, Riddell.
Well, on the replay, Brad Riddell was arguing for defensive pass interference. We can't see anything there. There you see him questioning the no call.
That time, Odell and Riddell out in the pass pattern for the Trinity Trojans. But again, Hasty just couldn't get the ball to him.
Riddell split out wide to the far sideline. Odell comes in motion to the near sideline. The handoff to Weaver on the draw. Gets to the 50, and a great tackle that time. Cut him down right on the 50-yard line, or he would have been off to the races.
John Harrison and Eric Allman again doing what they have to do and usually do on a football field on a Friday night.
We're going to see a lot of big plays in this fourth quarter, and here's the first one of them right now. The Trojans with a 3rd and 7 situation. They want the first down. One of the Cardinal players touched the ball and moved it back up toward the 50-yard line. The officials saw it and say, wait a second, none of that. And they moved the ball into the correct position.
Well, for the life of me, I cannot understand why Trinity keeps running the ball up the middle. They need to throw the short pass. With 8:40 to go, they've got to get points on the board, and quick.
Riddell, the wide receiver. Brian Love playing him. Here is Hasty on the keeper. Gets to the 45-yard line.
They might be in four-down territory now, Bob, because as Mark said, it is 8:25 to go in this ball game and counting. They've got a 4th down. They're in Cardinal territory. Why not go for it?
I don't know, but they're bringing on the kicking team and taking off their quarterback.
They've got to have 2 possessions to win this ball game, and you're not going to have 2 possessions by punting it. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a fake punt here. And MacArthur is looking for the fake punt.
Yes, they are. Ball goes back to the punter, gets it away. Riddell, a beauty. Let's see if it goes into the end zone, and it will. So the Cardinals put it out 1st and 10 on the 20. Cardinals have got the ball, a 9-point lead, and 7 minutes, 50 seconds remaining on the scoreboard clock. And there is the big Cardinal with the boxing gloves, feeling pretty good right now.
And looking a little bit like Muhammad Ali with that 16-7 lead and only 7:50 left in the ballgame. John Riddell optioning to punt and putting the future of this 1985 season in the hands of his defense.
Well, he's got a great defense. And what they want to do now is contain the Cardinals. Ooh, handoff to Wayne England gets one, and he bobbled the ball as he took the handoff from the quarterback, but then retained it and picked up the 1 yard.
Vance Birchfield there to trip him up the line of scrimmage.
Well, if he's putting the game in the hands of his defense, the defense had better score quick, because with 7.5 minutes to go, they've got to have 2 possessions.
Well, we haven't seen the defense score tonight, but we've seen the defense set up a bunch of scores by recovering fumbles from both sides. Ball on the 21-yard line, 2nd and 9. Clark and England, the running back. Sean Hall hands off to Clark. Got some running room. Out to the 26-yard line. Grabbed from behind and dragged down. Nice tackle that time.
Ron Spence
again. Give Clark a pickup of 5 yards. Bill now up to a total of 54 yards on the night.
Ron Spence leading the 7-5A in tackles this year, is an excellent football player. Has his choice of a lot of different colleges. And we'll just have to wait and see where he'll go, but he'll be a good one and be welcomed wherever he goes.
You know, the Cardinals would like to pick up a first down on this play. The Trojans going to try and stop them in 2. And shooting the gap and coming in and
Judd
really
Adcock.
turning that play was Judd Adcock, the strong safety.
He's been having himself a pretty good night tonight.
All that time setting up a play where he was going to carry out to the left on a power sweep. And there's Adcock just knocking him off his pins.
Looks to me like Judd Adcock wants some of that attention we've been giving Ron Spence tonight.
I think he does.
A loss of 6 on the play.
Well, Riddell getting what he wanted, 3 downs and a punt here.
Exactly
and pretty
right.
good field position coming back.
They should have excellent field position. They're going to try and block the kick, but they can't do it. Raines gets it away. Here is the ball taken back to the 50-yard line, down to about the 47. Comes the return man.
Adcock picking up about 3 yards on the play, but it really doesn't matter. They do have the ball in good field position.
Almost a drastic mistake by Trinity. They got a little bit of the leg of the MacArthur kicker, almost a roughing the kicker, but the ref didn't throw a flag. Trinity did luck out. There you see right under 6 minutes to go. Trinity trailing by 9.
Well, this is a very important possession for the Trojans. They've got to make something happen, and they've got their new quarterback, Darren Schultz, in there. This is his first snap from center. Schultz with the ball, carries, moves to the 45, and twirls his way down to the 44-yard line.
Well, Ray Hastie's got to be a little bit disappointed being taken out in the game. But because of the great MacArthur defense, he has been stopped cold tonight. Hoping to get a little bit of life out of the sophomore, Darren Schultz. They have brought him into the game, and he's going to have to produce fast.
Tremendous responsibility on a sophomore. Schultz looks over the defensive alignment. They move from the wishbone. Schultz on the keeper again is hit and dropped as he comes to about the 42-yard line. A pickup of 2. And you have to wonder about these calls because those aren't the type of plays that normally spring for big yardage.
Not only that, but those are the kind of plays that keep the clock rolling, and that is one thing that John Riddell can't afford to do right now. He must go to the air.
They've got to let the air out of the ball, and Darren Schultz is a good passer. Look for Brad Riddell to go down the deep sideline.
Riddell is the split receiver. Up against him is Brian Love. They go to Odell, hit and dropped in his backfield.
Jeff Greer on the tackle there, dropping Odell in the backfield.
Jeff Greer, the cornerback.
Play by Greer.
Right.
I'm beginning to wonder if John Riddell can see the scoreboard, because with 4.5 minutes to go, needing 2 possessions, 41 yards away from a touchdown, 44 yards away from a touchdown, you don't keep running.
Well, I have to believe that Riddell was trying to trick the Cardinals into believing that he was going to pass. Now the Cardinals, they're not so sure that the Trojans going to kick this ball away. Love finally goes back. Let's see if they do. And they will. And I think Love probably just going to let that ball roll in the end zone. It does. So the Cardinals have the ball with 4:01 to go. What has happened here, the Trojans got the ball with 5:59. They ate up 1 minute and 58 seconds on the clock.
I'm at a loss for words. I can't figure out what Coach Riddell is doing here. I really can't.
I don't understand.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to go down at the end of the game. Want to talk to him and ask him? I know I won't.
I don't get any respect ordinarily. I don't think I want to go to that sideline.
1st and 10, Cardinals with the ball on their 20-yard line. We're at the 4:01 mark. Sean Hall with it. Hands off. Clark, 5 yards, 10, 15, 20, 21-yard pickup. First down, Cardinals. And a big run by Bill Clark.
Dick Flotus in on the tackle there. Maybe have saved a touchdown.
Riddell again putting the burden on the defense, and that may be the backbreaker for Trinity. There you
Boy,
see
look at that
great
move.
gain.
What a move by Clark. He just ran rings around a would-be defender, John Ellick.
Well, Clark not necessarily known for his moves.
He was on that one.
He put on a beauty there.
He really did. Nice stutter step. Again, they come back to Bill Clark. Bill this time off left tackle for a gain of 2. Clark now up to a total gain for the contest of 77 yards.
They say time flies when you're having fun, and it is right now flying for Coach Ray Overton, but for John Riddell, well, I don't know. 3:22 and counting.
You got to figure that Ray, and Ray Overton is one of the best coaches in this game. You'd think that he's just going to keep the ball on the ground because time is in a lie right now for the Cardinals. Again, they go to sure-handed Bill Clark across the 45 out to the 48. A pickup of 4 more. Clark picks up 4 more. So they're really pounding it out here in the 4th quarter. A dramatic turnaround for the Cardinals, who took advantage of 2 fumble recoveries to score 10 points. Time-wise, 2:45, and the clock continues to roll. It's 3rd down. Big play now. 3rd and 2 for the Cardinals. Hall with the ball. The Clark, he's got the first down, and more so as it goes to the 42-yard line. That should be the game.
On the stop from Trinity, number 25, Steve Michelson.
Look at this move by Bill Clark. Boy, he is really a power. Nice cutback there. Bill Clark, who dropped the pass in the first half and just beat his helmet with his hands in frustration, has really come back. He's a quality young man and a fine ball player. 1st and 10 for the Cardinals. They've got the ball now on the Trinity 41-yard line. We're coming down to the 2-minute mark, and the Cardinals are going to call timeout. They had too many men on the field. Now, they did not want to stop the clock. No doubt that they didn't want to stop the clock, but by the same token, they didn't want to take a penalty either. So when in doubt of taking a 5-yard penalty or stopping the clock, I think they acted very wisely and said, wait a second, we've got 3 timeouts. Let's take one right now.
Well, with 2:11 to go, I think the main thing right now is running out the clock. Field position doesn't make a difference for the Cardinals right now.
Well, the thing that, as far as field position is concerned, you're thinking of 2 things. 1, monopolize as much time as possible, and 2, move the ball as far away from your goal line as possible. Because if there is a turnover, you want it as far away from your goal line as is humanly possible. But you're right, the big thing is to run down the clock. And the Cardinals have the capacity to do that right now. They've got a 1st and 10, barring a fumble, a miscue on their part, a turnover. They're going to have the ball for 3 more plays before they would have to kick it away. Now, that does not mean that the Trojans will not be calling timeouts. I believe they still have their full cycle of 3. 1st and 10. Full house backfield for the Cardinals. Wayne England, the ball carrier. And boy, he just bruises his way down to the 37-yard line.
Trinity not calling a timeout on that play. And with under 2 minutes to go, the clock right now is killing the Trojans 16-7, a minute 50 to go in the game.
He's Trinity, the Trinity team, very fine defensively, but they're being asked to do a lot now. Look at all these Cardinal fans. They sense victory. 2nd down. Hall with the ball. Broken play. He'll just keep it, and he moves to the 32-yard line. Sean Hall turned around to hand the ball off. There was no one to hand it off to. So he figured, when in doubt, just carry it himself. And now the Trojans call timeout.
Gain of about 4 on a busted play there. Good job by Sean Hall taking the ball, seeing there was nobody back there, cutting upfield, gain of about 4. It will be 3rd down and 2 with 1:30 to go.
We've talked about Sean Hall on many of these broadcasts. He's not the greatest athlete in the world, but I'll tell you one thing. He has a very cool head, and he can make split-second decisions. And almost intuitively, he always makes the right decision. That's something that can't be taught. It's like speed. You can't really teach a person to be fast if they're slow, and you can't teach a person to make a snap decision on the right one in a fraction of a second. Those things are just inbred. The ball down on the 32-yard line. Time-wise, we've got 1:31 seconds remaining. The Cardinals lead it by a count of 16-7. 16-7 our score. Turnovers have been the key in this ball game. They really have.
Seems to me about Sean Hall. He has been very well coached by Ray Overton and the MacArthur Cardinal coaches.
All these players are well coached. The Cardinals got an excellent coaching staff.
As does Trinity.
Yes, really. Clark fights for about a yard down to the 31. And neither of these teams are giving up. Boy, there is a lot of hitting going on there down at the 31-yard line.
Little frustration shown by Trinity.
Another timeout being called.
For MacArthur, Bill Clark handling the ball, taking it through. Little frustration by the Trojans. Little aftermath after the play. Clark asking the Trojans just to cool down. 1:25 to go.
Measuring for the first down, the Cardinals are short by inches. They've got a 4th and inches to go, and suffice it to say, they'll go for the first down. They're not going to kick that ball away.
No need to punt. If you punt,
not at all, no.
Most likely you're just going to gain about 12 yards because it most likely will go out of the end zone.
Remember, what makes this so difficult is the fact that if the Trojans win this game, they've got to have 2 possessions to do it. An 8-point play still leaves them 1 point behind.
With 1:25 to go.
That's what we've got right now, right?
Those possessions are going to have to be very quick.
So you know the Cardinals are going to keep this ball. They're not going to kick it away. They're going to try and get that first down. We might see quarterback sneak. We don't know what we'll see. But the Cardinals will keep it. Quarterback sneak. Hall's got the first down.
And that is the ball game, I would have to say.
We'll show it to you one more time. This is one of the most basic plays in football, but it's good. Not spectacular, but it works. And what makes the play work is the offensive wall. Your offensive linemen who never get any praise and who make the difference in the game. They're the workhorses, the grunts. When you win, it's because of the offensive and defensive lines. It's your star players, the running backs, the receivers, the quarterback who get all the praise. It's the linemen who make the difference in ball games. 1st and 10 for the Cardinals. Wayne England advances for about 2 yards and then is just swarmed under by a sea of black jerseys.
The MacArthur offense has impressed me very much on this last drive. Getting the ball deep in their own territory and driving it down the throats of the Trojans.
All on the ground, we might add. This has all been on the ground. Yeah.
You don't want to put the ball in the air with this little time to go. One pass intercepted for a touchdown, and we've got us a ball game once again. On
exactly right.
Field goal. 39 seconds to go. There is a timeout on the field. There you see the Cardinal on the sideline, urging the fans to yell, and I don't think that they need any urging right now.
No, it's kind of easy to yell when your team is obviously going to win a ball game.
The defense of both teams have been very impressive tonight. But I would have to say the MacArthur defense came out on top, and special teams for the Cardinals. That one big play by Brian Love. Big play for the Cardinals.
Brian is a big play man. Even if he doesn't touch the ball, he takes away a lot from the other team's offense because he's excellent in defensive coverage.
With that speed he's got, it's easy to see how he can stop him.
Yeah. And he plays a very shallow cornerback position. He'll come up and challenge a receiver right on the line of scrimmage. This time the handoff goes to Clark. No gain on the play, but it's really incidental now.
And Trinity,
down to the final 30 seconds.
Trinity will not call a timeout now, I don't believe.
No, they have. They've just called their final timeout. That's it.
With 30 seconds to go, you would have to ask for the biggest miracle of all time. I don't see that you should call a timeout down by 9. You might as well just go ahead and let the clock run out and say you had a good season, because Trinity has had an excellent season, finishing 7-3 with this loss tonight.
Well, for a lot of the Trinity fans, I know they're very disappointed with the loss, but remember, they got a lot of these kids coming back.
Yes, lots of juniors.
A lot of juniors coming back next year. They're gaining valuable experience. And football is like anything in life. The more you do something, the better off you're going to be.
2 out of the starting 3 backs in the wishbone, B.J. Weaver and Donnelly Farrow, will be back, as quarterback Darren Schultz will be back too. So 3 out of the 4 backs for Trinity will be back, along with leading receiver Brad Riddell. Trinity will be stout next year, no doubt.
Here is Hall on the quarterback, getting about 1 yard, but again, it's academic. They're not playing to pick up yardage. They're playing to kill the clock.
And I think that will be the last play of the ball game.
Right. The Trojans can't do anything. They can't stop the clock. All we're seeing are the fans hooping it up, yelling, and really enjoying this ball game. It's a fine victory for the Cardinals of Irving MacArthur. The Trojan players coming off the sideline to congratulate their Cardinal counterparts. And it's all over. The Cardinals of Irving MacArthur have defeated the Trinity Trojans 16-7. We'll be back with some final comments and an interview with head coach Ray Overton in just a moment.